Hey, loves. So I have a word for you, or I would say a message, okay? Something that you can definitely learn from, okay? So let's talk about what God means when he says, don't mess with my anointed, okay? Y'all already know if you've been watching my videos. I like to give a lot of my own personal experiences because I truly believe that what I've gone through has been ordained by God to be able to help y'all, because this is what I am called to do, okay? To spread light, to help, protect, guide, nourish, whatever you want to say, even entertain, okay? That's my name, Cherish. That's what it all means. But I truly believe that God had literally had me go through pretty much every scenario in life to be able to be a blessing to whoever has ears to hear, right? And whoever truly wants to know God and to come to Christ Jesus, right? So yeah, y'all, when God says don't mess with his anointed, he means that, okay? I'm going to give you an example from the Bible first. Y'all already know when it came to David, the king that God had Samuel anoint to become king of Israel. God was not playing about David, okay? David had been one of the 9 sons of Jesse's, and Jesse was even shocked when Samuel came to anoint his son, because he's looking at all his other sons and they are tall of stature, built, and that king look, right? But every time Samuel went to go, God was like, that's not him. That's not him. And Samuel was like, where's your other son? I believe you have one more, right? Because none of them are anointed by God to be king. So Jesse's like, oh yeah, I have one, out there, he young, he tending to the sheep. Well, Samuel's like, get him. So when Samuel saw him, he even knew. Yeah, that's the one. He was fair in skin. He was nice, good looking, but young, innocent looking, pure hearted, because God looks at the heart, y'all. God does not look on the outer appearance, okay, like man does. So even Samuel knew, okay, this is the one I'm supposed to anoint. But let's go into when David went to go dwell with Saul. Okay, it took a while for God to prepare David to be king, right? After he slayed Goliath or whatnot. And, that was the preparation period. He was very skilled. David was very skilled with the rocks, the slingshots, right? But he still had to go through a period of preparation, a period to, I believe, get closer to God, and for God to show him, like, look, I got you. I got you. You don't gotta get vengeance. You don't need to do this and that. I see everything and I got you, and I will protect you. I believe that was part of the mission for David, and part of the lessons he had to go through. Saul literally tried to get David, gone multiple times when he was playing the harp, when Saul was sending him out on military missions, hoping he would get got. And also, Saul was just plotting and planning every chance he got, trying to get his daughter to help him to get David. So all I'm trying to say, y'all, is God literally means don't play with his chosen. Do not play with the ones that he has literally anointed to do great things and to fulfill his purpose, his will, okay? His prophecies. You already know he don't play about his son Jesus. So, yeah. I'm going to just give you guys some experience so you guys can understand this happens in real life, real time still, okay? Now, I'm going to go with one incident that was probably a little and then I'll work my way up. This one was early on, like first walk, like when I really started my journey, when I left home after I graduated from high school. I was like 2 weeks after I graduated from high school, and I decided I'm going to go out in the world and figure this thing out, because God already placed on the inside of me these goals and dreams and these talents and gifts. And I was like, I want to go figure this thing out. So the first thing was me going off to college. It was so random. Nobody knew. Literally, I went online, found out you can go to school for fashion, hello, and you can get a bachelor's. It's like, cool, why not? That's a higher education, especially to do that and be the first one in my family to do that, right? So I was like, cool. I was silent. I moved in silence. When I know when it's about to be great, because God has me move in silence. He doesn't have me tell a soul, okay? It just be like boom, 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 and then they see it and they be like, what, how, what? But anyways, so I went online, found a school that I was able to go to college for and get a degree, a BA for fashion and business marketing. So I was like, cool. So I did all this in silent. I went down there to the school or whatnot, and my mom didn't even know. I just was doing all this solo. And checked out the school. I got into a dorm or whatnot. Financial aid, using all that and stuff. And yeah, and I got the key. And then I went home and I started packing my stuff up and putting it in a bag or a sheet. And my mom's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Where are you going? I said, oh, I'm going off to college. I'm moving. And she's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. I was like, yeah, look, I got the keys. And she was like, are you serious? I was like, yes, Mom, I'm leaving. Thank you for everything you've done, but it's time for me to be about my father's business now. So I packed up and I bounced. I left the next day, and just stick with me. I go into the dorm, and they pair you up with whoever you're going to be in this dorm. So my dorms when I went to college were actually apartments. So I went to LA. So I was by the LAX area, if you guys are familiar with that area. Culver City, LAX area, right? So they pair you up with people. One girl had got a private room, so of course she was paying extra. And of course I was going to be a shared room with a girl. So it was a 2-bedroom apartment. So we go to the apartment. Long story short, I meet the girl. The girl that I was sharing a room with was pretty cool. So I thought we hit it off. And then the girl that came in with the private room, she had a boyfriend. So fast forward, the boyfriend ended up staying with her majority of the time, but I didn't have a car at the time. So I had a parking spot that I was paying for out of my money, my financial aid. So the girl was like, oh, can, so-and-so park in your spot until you get a car? I was like, oh yeah, whatever. So I give them the little clicker thing and stuff like that. And that's that. Well, it comes a time when I need to get a car because, these girls end up turning against me. I don't know how, but they end up not liking me, of course, story of my life. And and so I'm like, okay, let me start making moves. You know what I mean? So, thank you to that one girl that I shared a room with, because she started trying to make me feel some type of way because I'm trying to relax. I was just coming out of some stuff myself. That's why part of the reason why I moved. So she was like, oh, you need to get a job. And then, okay, I'm going to show you. I can get 2 jobs. I can do this. I can live that life. Right. But anyways, so I'm like, it's time for me to get a car, go and get my first car. And yeah, it was a little swag wag. I call it swag wag because it was one of those wagon type cars, but I knew I was going to be moving and shuffling and carrying a lot of stuff. So it was perfect for me. But when I get to the point to where I need to park in my thing, they didn't want to give me the clicker. Okay. So now it's causing discord. Now it's causing frustration. Now I know God is like, oh, she better give that to my daughter. That's hers, rightfully hers. But anyways, long story short, she literally tried to bully me, fight me, and not give me over my clicker. I had to get the lady that oversees the dorms to make her give it to me. And I'm angry because I'm the type of person where the last resort is physical for me. But these girls already turned against me, and then they had other friends that were trying to turn against me, so I'm like, okay, God, whatever. Well, let's fast forward to where God showed me, and I didn't see it at that time, but obviously after seeing certain things start happening down my journey, I'm like, oh God, that's God's protection. That's God letting people know, do not mess with my anointed. So yeah, this girl, I'm not trying to laugh, y'all, but this girl, eventually gave me my clicker and stuff, but you know, she was with this boyfriend, and I don't know what they were a part of. I did hang out with her a couple of times, and yeah, she was born and raised in LA, and she was actually part of that Wood movie, you know, The Wood, and she actually's like, look, I was in that movie, you know, because they had a part at the school. Yeah, all I know is one day I came home from school or work, and the girl that I shared a room with was like, "Oh my gosh, you know, so and so's in the hospital." And I'm like, "What? What happened? She got shot." And I'm like, no, and I, you know, like things like that where I grew up at, I didn't hear of things like that too often because I grew up in the valley. You know, it was not like LA. Now it is a mini LA, but back then when I was growing up, it was not. So this girl literally got shot, and they bullied me into going to the hospital because I was not going to go to the hospital. You know, God says to pray for your enemies, right? I pray for people, you know, especially instead of me acting out of my flesh. I'm like, God, I'm gonna just give it to you. So by this time, I'm like, I'm not going all the way across town. I don't have the gas and this and that, first of all, because they didn't have cars. And to go see someone that clearly did not care or like me, but they bullied me into it, and that's the truth. And I ended up going and all that, and the girl's, you know, in the hospital with her family, and obviously she was talking about me to her mom and this and that, everybody. So when I walk in, they're all looking at me like, why, you know, and stuff. But the other girls went to go hug her and kiss her, and I just stayed there, you know. But she was like explaining, yeah, you know, the bullet was this close to my heart, and this and that. So all I'm trying to say, that was one of my experiences, you guys, because later down this journey, it was not too long ago, where God literally had to sit me down. And you guys probably are aware of some of my story if you've been watching me for some time. So I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself sometimes, but it's necessary at times. So God had to sit me down, because when you're moving and on the go, you really can't connect the dots as fast or see God's presence or movements in your life, because you're so used to going. So when God sat me down for these last couple of years here in my promised land, God was showing me a lot. So that was one of the things that he was like, don't mess with my anointed. You know, and I have other stories where people have messed with me, and later I hear them getting into accidents, or, you know, and people don't understand it's not a physical thing that a person may do to you. They can just be talking about you and spewing lies about you behind your back. They can just be gossiping about you. They can just be just nasty. God knows the heart. So that's what he's going to go off of. He knows your thoughts. So anything like that, when it comes to his anointed, he does not play.